Okay, hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. So today we're going to be covering an introduction to Concep. So in today's slides we're going to cover Concep Send at a glance, how you can manage your contacts, how to build an email campaign, how you will send the campaign, and then we will look at reporting as well. So without further ado, I will move us onto the platform. So if anyone has any questions at any point, please feel free to put them in the chat. If not, we can cover any you may have at the end of the webinar. So starting us off, we have the main Concep Send homepage. So this is the page everyone will have when they log in to their account. Depending if you have a personal account or a group account, you have the ability to customize as you see fit. So that being said, we have these little 6 dots in the bottom of each of our sections within the main page. So these sections cover key areas within the platform. So first one here you can see is the welcome section, which covers create a campaign, and a quick link to take you to the creation of a campaign. We have another quick link to import contacts, and a final link to checking reports. And of course, you have the manage template section in here as well. Now, beneath that, you have a section titled recent campaigns. So this is where you can see any campaigns that you're currently working on, any that have been shared with your account, any that are pending approval, any that have been scheduled and waiting for the time to be sent, and of course, any that have been sent, which will appear in reports. At the bottom, you have the campaign metrics, and these can be set up to pull information you wish to display. This can be done on the drop-down arrow on the right-hand side and selecting the customize. From there, you can set a time frame, campaign sent after or campaign sent before, and of course, select an interval. Could be an hour, a day, a week, going up to a year, and then you'll have various options to pull different metrics depending on what you wish to show. This could be campaigns, recipients, emails sent, or it could be looking at your replies, your clicks, and any bounces you may have. Once you've selected the options, you're able to click update, and then they will display depending on the data you have within your account. So each of these sections has the ability to be dragged depending on where you wish to display them. If you find the metrics to be more beneficial than the welcome page, then you can drag this to the top so that when you log in to your account, you will see the metrics at the start. Any options with the 6 dots can be dragged depending on the value you add to it, of where you want to see it on your homepage. Now, the top section contains a lot of the similar options we've just looked at. So underneath the Get Started, again, you have quick links to creating a campaign, reports, and contacts. And then under the Manage section here, you have the first one, which is the Content Library. Now, the content library is an area where you can store all of the images and videos you may wish to store in a campaign. This also works for PDFs and any files you may wish to include. Clicking into the content library, you can see that you have a storage section here. Anything that is just added generically into the content library will appear in the unsorted section. You have the ability to add folders by clicking the add folder and giving it a name. And then all of your folders will appear beneath the unsorted. And you also have the option to change how it is viewed as well. If you prefer the thumbnail, which we can see here by default, you can also change this to a list if you just wish to see the text of your content. So what we recommend is any images that you wish to use in your campaign are stored in the content library. So the reason for this is that the URLs can then be pulled through, and we can ensure everything that you are using content-wise is all stored within the same place. Now, the next section we have underneath the Manage is the Profiles. So the profile is who your campaign is sent from. When we move into the campaigns, we'll go into more detail here. Essentially, if you wanted to send the campaign from yourself, then you would set up your name as the profile, and then pulling in the domain that you are using to send from, and then that will be what the recipient sees in their inbox. Now, the next section we have is templates. Templates we'll go into more detail on when we go into the campaign, but essentially they are the basis for all campaigns that are built. And then of course you have a to-do section on the right-hand side, which contains any approvals that are waiting in the particular account. Now on the right-hand side here, you can see we have several other tabs. They can turn blue when hovered above. So again, these are links to the various sections of the platform. So we have campaigns, we have surveys, contacts, and reports. Now at the top, you have the option to log out of your account if you wish to log into another. The settings, where you can adjust the various settings depending on your level. And for those that are an admin, this would be client admin, group admin, depending on the level you have. You have the option to click on the admin settings, which allow you to log in to other user accounts. And then finally, we have the client help desk. So if we click into this, this brings us to two very key areas within the platform. So first being our knowledge base. This is where you will find the answers to pretty much any question you may have about the system. These contain step-by-step workflows, how to do specific tasks, and also contain a variety of webinars and videos detailing how you can complete a certain task you may have. And of course, if you can't find your answer within the knowledge base, you have the option to contact our support team. So by clicking the submit a request, you can see a mail to the help desk email, which is helpdesk@concep.com, and you'll be able to submit your request by email, which will then come into our support team. And that covers the main homepage. So what we'll do now is we'll move into the contacts. So contacts can be accessed by either, as we say from the homepage, clicking the import contacts get started link, or by clicking in the contacts tab on the right hand side. So if you wish to have contacts within your system, what you can do is import these. So to import a contact, you can click the import contacts link, and then we will need to browse an Excel file. So all the contacts that you want to upload, at a minimum, we would require you to include a first name, a last name, and an email. The email being the most important of these. Now, the email is the unique identifier for a contact. So that means you could have 20 contacts, all have the same first name and same last name, but the emails will need to be different for each contact. You can only have one email per contact. Now, the benefit of having this means it's a lot easier to store as well. You can understand who a contact is, and then all campaigns sent to that email address can then be recorded on that particular record. What's also worth noting is that importing contacts is user account specific. So you could import the same contact into 10 different accounts if you wish, but they would all need to be added in independently from each other. If a contact wishes to opt out or maybe bounces in one of the user accounts, if they haven't specified the opt-out will be for all accounts, then they will be opted out of one account but not another. The same if they bounce, they will only be bounced in the account that they were sent a particular email from. So what we can do when we have our Excel file is we can click browse, then that will open up our documents, and then from there we can click our contact list. So once we have the list, then the system will filter out the information that it sees, and then we'll map the fields based on the content it can pull from there. If this isn't correct, you're able to do this by clicking the drop-down arrow, and you can either select do not store if you don't wish to store the information, or you can map the fields so they are displaying the correct data. So in this case, we want first name to first name, last name to last name, and email to email. These three being essential for being able to organize and understand your contacts. If you have additional information, such as a title, company name, job title, even gender or date of birth, you're able to add these in as well. If, for example, you didn't want to store a certain data, so if you had a date of birth data but do not wish to store it, you can select the do not store, and then that one will not be pulled through in this case. Then once you're happy with the mapping, you can then proceed to the next step. So this next step is called handle duplicates, and this dictates how your data is going to be stored. So if you in the past have included these contacts previously in another import, or maybe you've added them in another way, then you can decide what happens to an existing contact. So you can see the 4 options we have here, the first being append, which will add any new fields to the contact's existing details, but the existing fields will not be updated. So that means if you have new information for the contact, you can add that through, but the existing information will be untouched. You have the option to leave the contact's details unchanged, and the contact will still be added to any groups, which is the next section after we complete the duplicates. The third option, which I believe to be the most accurate and beneficial option to choose, is update. So update updates the contact's details with the mapped fields. Any unmapped fields will not be updated. So for example, those that we selected as do not store. So this is the most beneficial because it means that you're going to be including the latest information. Say if you have a contact, they may have changed their address, they may have changed their last name, they may even want to update their email address. By clicking update, you can ensure you have the latest information. So this would be my recommendation when choosing to handle your duplicates. And then the final option we have is replace, which replaces all of the contact's existing details with the information that has been imported. Again, in this case, we're going to select update. So once we're happy with our handling of duplicates, we can proceed to the next step, which is selecting groups. So when you are sending a campaign, instead of having to search each contact manually, it is far easier just to include all of the contacts that you wish to send to in one group or in multiple groups that can be selected. So when you're importing, a lot of the time you may find that this import group will be all of the contacts that you want to send for a particular campaign. And in that case, it makes sense to add those to a group. So what you can do is you can click Add Group if you wish to create a new group, which we will do in this case. So we will call this Webinar Wednesday, July 2022, and then we will click Add Group. And then what we can do is then search for this group, and then we can see that that group has been ticked. Now, if we wanted to add to another group, we can tick that as well, and then you can see every group that is ticked will be, these contacts will be stored in. In this case, we're just going to stick with the one group, and that will be perfect in this scenario. And once we're happy with the groups we selected, we can click on Next Step, which is our final confirmation page. So you can see here, this is just a summary of everything we've decided so far. So the first name is mapped to the first name, last name to last name, and the email to the email. Again, these 3 being the most important. And then if we click More, we can scroll down and we can see the other mapped fields that we have in this case. Then we can also see that our duplicate contacts will be updated and the imported contacts will be added to the group we created. Then once we're happy with that, we can click Import. You can click it here or at the bottom right. This will be the exact same thing. Once we're happy, we can click Import, and then we will see a success. Now, we can see here from the data that 0 contacts were inserted, meaning all the contacts already existed within the system. So 7 were updated because we selected the update option for handling the duplicates. And then you also have 1 invalid. So the 1 invalid accounts for the headers within the Excel file. So the titles that just said first name, last name, email address, etc. So if you're using titles, you will always have 1 invalid when importing contacts. If you, for whatever reason, do see other invalids or wish to check into this, you have the option to download the Excel file, which will flag anything that was marked as invalid. And then once you're happy with your contacts, you can click Close, and then we can move on to creating a campaign. So to create a campaign, we can either go back to the home page and then click the Create a Campaign link, or we can click into the Campaign section. So once we're here, we can decide what we want to do. We can see, as we saw before in the home page, all of our in-progress campaigns, or if we want to make a new one, we have the option to create a campaign via this button here. So this takes us to our templates now. So a template, as mentioned earlier, is the basis for every campaign that you will create. Every campaign needs to be built from a template, and the template is invaluable as a time-saving tool. It means that you don't have to build the structure each time you send the campaign. You can have a pre-rendered template, and then all you will need to do is edit it for that purpose, which means if the structure is already there, you just need to add your text and relevant images instead of building everything manually from scratch. So a massive time saver, and definitely beneficial to have templates for each type of campaign that you are looking to send. So what we can do here is click into My Templates, and then we have the option to select any of these. So in this case, we're going to use a drag and drop training. So we give it a name. So again, we'll call it July 2022, and then click Create. And then this takes us to the campaign builder. So from the top, we can see we have our profile. The profile is the person it will be sent from. In this case, if we do not wish to send from Michael.Sepples, we can put a drop-down arrow to look at our existing profiles. And then in this case, we may wish to send from Ben. So we click into Ben, and then Ben is now the profile. If we don't like any of the existing options, we can click on Manage Profiles. And then from there, we can add in a new profile by clicking the Add Profile option at the bottom right. So from here, we can give it a name, an email address, and then any other additional information we wish to include. And then once we're happy, we can click Add and Close. So once we're happy with the profile, we can then look at the from address. So again, this is the domain that the campaign will be sent from. So at the moment, we can see it is ecoms.concep.com. This can be changed within the advanced settings below. Any domains that are shared with your user account will appear in this domain section here. And then by clicking the drop-down arrow, you can click into a different domain. For example, we click on emailcc.com, and then you can see the from address has now changed. The former part of this, though, you can adjust yourself, and you can type in whatever you wish in this area. So in this case, Webinar Wednesday, but this can include absolutely anything else, but note that it cannot include spaces because, of course, this is an email address. So once we're happy with the profile and the from, we can then move on to the subject. So the subject line can, of course, include anything you wish to include in the email. And then you also now have the option for preview text if you wish to include this as well. Now, in the advanced options, you have the option to create an A/B test. Now, this is beneficial if you want to make very slight changes to your campaign to see which would have more interaction. So that might be, you may want to change an image for a different type of image. You may wish to include something more visual, something more technical. And then from there, you can see which one has the most interaction or meets a specific condition that you set. And then that will then, based on whichever one is most popular, send to the remainder of your contacts. So a great way to increase your interaction if you are worried it is noticeably low. So then the domain we've already covered. You have the option to change it by clicking the drop down arrow, and then that brings us to reply management. So reply management is how the replies will be stored. You have two options here. The first is already selected, that you can send replies direct only. So these are not stored in our reports, but sent directly to the profile. If you do not want to send to the profile, you can click this option here and then include another email address, and that is where all the replies will be taken. If, however, you wish to store the replies in reports, you can select the option here, and then in addition to storing the replies in reports, what you can do is also send to the profile address by clicking this option here, and to any other email addresses by selecting that option there. Now, once you're happy with that, you can also choose to click the prevent out of office and automatic emails coming through, so that if you are sending to a large crowd, you're not going to be spammed with loads of out of office messages. So this now takes us into the main builder itself. So the builder can be accessed by clicking the add content option here. And this shows you all the different drag and drop blocks that you have available. So the first one being the container block. Now, as the name suggests, this contains an area together. You can drag all of the other blocks inside a container and then save that as a particular block itself. So if we click into the container, everything can be dragged into the campaign, and then you can see there an empty container is marked as empty. Now the block underneath is the content block. This is just the main text block, and you can add anything you wish into the block. If you wish to drag into a container, you'll see a 5-second countdown. Once that's finished, you'll be able to drag that inside if you wish, or above in this case. So once you've got that added, you're able to see the dummy text appear. All of this can be cleared, and then of course you can add in the content you wish. When you click into a block, you will see the toolbar. So of course all of these contain the base options that you may have. So if you want to include a link, you'll have the option there. If you want to include an image, insert a file, and of course adjust any of the text, most of the features that you would see in Microsoft Word, for example. Now the next block we have is the multi-column. So similar to the content block, this is the same thing, but now there are 2 of them. So if you are creating something, say as a newsletter, you may wish to have text and images side by side, and this is a great way to structure that. Now with the multi-columns, you have the option to add in additional by hovering over settings and clicking the add column, and you can do this up to 4 times. So the reason this is capped at 4 is because eventually the campaign will become too wide, and then it may not render correctly within the email clients. If you wish to remove a multi-column, you can hover over again and select the bin icon, and then that will remove that particular column. Now the image block, as the name suggests, creates an image. So if we hover over the block we saw before, this will open the container, and then we can drag the image into the multi-column. So again, this creates that newspaper style, which was perfect for newsletters. And then the final option we have is the spacer. So the spacer, again, as the name suggests, creates a space within a campaign. You can see here 20 pixels, and this can even be dragged if you wish, or you can click into settings and specify a pixel width. Now, the final 3 options you see here are template blocks, my blocks, and shared with you. Now, the template blocks and the my blocks are created at template level. A template block is a block that can be stored at the side of a campaign, so not in the main body itself. For example, you can see here we have 7 template blocks here. So these can be dragged in, and they are pre-built blocks. As you see here, there is multiple content inside them. So these are built in the template and are stored within this particular template. So anyone that creates a campaign using this template will have access to all of these template blocks. Now, a my block works differently. It's still made within a template, but a my block is specific to your user account. So if someone were to use your template in another account, they would not have access to your my blocks. And finally, we have the shared with you. Now, this is the workaround for the my blocks, that you can still share them. So any my blocks that are shared will appear within the shared with you section. As you can see here, we have the option to build a campaign however we wish. There is full customization, so you can make a campaign look however you like. But as we mentioned earlier, creating a template that does the work for you is the most convenient way to work through the system. If everything is already built, then you just need to add in your content. So as you can see here, you can include your image block. You already have your links available. You have the style if you wish to use a certain style, and then you just need to fill in the content that is right for you. So doing this way, of course, saves a lot of time, and of course is just the more convenient way to do things, but that doesn't mean that you are prevented from editing if you wish. So once we are happy with our campaign, what we can do is move on to how the campaign is sent. So if we click save, then that means our campaign is now saved, and then we can move into recipients. So of course we can add a subject line if we forgot to do that. So we're going to call this July 2022, and then add our subject. And that takes us into the recipients tab. Now what you'll see here is you have the groups, the contacts, and the domains if you wish to search. So groups are all of the groups that you have created within your user account. Again, groups and contacts are user account specific, and any that are shared with other accounts will appear within the shared group section, and you can see which group it was sent from. So in this case, what we can do is we can see that our group we created earlier will be within the system. So if we type in July, you can see our new group that was created 12 minutes ago, and then that is the group we're going to select. So if we tick that, then we can see at the top, we have currently 7 recipients. So what we can do is click Show Contacts, and this will show us who those 7 recipients are. If we wish, we can include that group and additional contacts by clicking into the contact there, and you can see that now makes the number 8. So doesn't mean you're stuck with just the groups. You can include a combination of groups and contacts if you wish. But with groups, you will find it is a lot easier to select them all if you have everyone clustered together. One thing to note when you are selecting groups is that if you include a group that contains contacts who are in another group, and then you remove the first group, then there is a system in place called deduping, which essentially means that any contacts that are in a group that is removed are also removed from the group. So for example, if we select this group here, you can see the contacts are still 7 because they may be these same contacts. If we then remove the group, that will also remove all of the contacts. So if you're ever wondering why some contacts have been added and then they are not actually sent the campaign, it is most likely a result of deduping. So the way to ensure this never happens is quite simply to ensure that when you select contacts, are removing all of the options that you have. And that way you will not have the issues that we have faced here. So by clicking remove all, you're happy that all contacts have been removed and you're not going to face any deduping issues. So in this case, we can be sure that this group has been selected and we just have the 7 contacts which we can review. Now, once we're happy with that, we can move to the preview and send section. So as you can see at the top, we can see an approval warning. This means that another account must approve this account before the campaign can be sent. Now, this is a fail-safe to make sure that everything that is sent out to your contacts is approved and good to go. So if someone is new in the system, they're not quite sure how to do things, instead of them sending to a large amount of contacts that may be not ideal if the content isn't correct, then you can have someone within your company reviewing every campaign that's sent out to make sure everything is as it should be. Now, the approval can be set on the amount of recipients you have. So for example, if it's set at 1 contact, then every single time a campaign is sent, you will have to have approval. Or for example, you may wish to set it at 50. So any campaigns to less than 50 people can be sent, but any 50 and above will require the approval. So in the preview and send section here, you have a summary of all the different options that we have selected. So we have our profile, our from address, our subject line, and then all of the recipients. And of course, you can see the campaign at the bottom as we scroll down. So what we also have here is a pre-flight report. So if we click on view the report, this will tell us key information about the campaign we're about to send. So we can review the from address, we can review the domain, the subject line, any spellings. So this is pulled from the HTML in this case. You can also review the spam rating. So spam may be flagged if you're using not best practices, which could be if you are sending majority images without a good image to text ratio. Anything that contributes as gambling, maybe something that says win, any kind of monetary symbols that essentially just mean that they may fall into a spam trap. So avoiding that can be crucial to ensure your campaign ends up in the recipient's inbox, and checking the spam rating is a great way to do that. Of course, you can review the plain text and any subscription that you may have. Now, what we can also do is we can run all pre-flight checks. And then this again just makes sure everything is working correctly. Now, if we scroll down to the bottom of the page, you will be able to see our sending options. So with the approval, you can submit a note to the approval, so to the approver. So a great way to ask them any questions you may be unsure of. So for example, is this image appropriate? Could be a question. And then when they review the campaign, they can provide feedback. Now, as you see here, we have the submit for approval option, and then that will trigger to the approvee. Otherwise, we have the option to send a test campaign. So tests are a great way and a highly recommended way to ensure that your campaign looks and feels as it should. So tests can be sent up to 5 recipients. We'd always recommend to test as many times as you can to make sure your campaign is perfect before it's sent out to any of your contacts. So the test will appear with a little note at the top saying this is a test, and will allow you to check how it renders when sent to your email address. So you'll be able to check it on your desktop, on your phone, on any device that you may use, as long as you can access it on that email address, and it will allow you to see how it will look in that environment. So we also have options here to click advanced, and then this will include a reply if anyone wants to reply to a test that you are sending. But the great way to check how the campaign will look is within the inbox preview. So if we click into this, and then we click run preview, this will take us to a page called Email on Acid, and this shows you how your campaign will look in a variety of different environments. So as you can see here, we have various iPhones, Gmail, and also Outlook. And you'll notice from a quick glance here that not all of them appear the same. This is because email clients all interpret HTML differently. So you will see subtle changes depending on how your campaign is built. Ensuring that you have highly structured code wherever possible is the best way to ensure that your campaign will render consistently. But it is worth noting that all email clients do render slightly differently. By clicking into one of these, you can get a full life-size preview how this will appear, and a great way to ensure that everything is rendering as it should. Now, we also have an option to schedule a campaign. So this means that if you wanted to send something out very early in the morning, but didn't want to be sat at your desk waiting for the correct number to send it out, you can schedule it to go out whenever you wish. So by clicking the date option, we can say select Friday, and then we may wish to send it at 9 AM, which means when we click send, and if this was approved in time, then this campaign will be sent out on the 29th of July at 9 AM. However, if you wish to send directly, you have the option just to click send campaign now. So this campaign will be sent immediately once it has been approved. If you don't have approval on, by clicking the send campaign option, the campaign is sent the second you click that button. Now, what is also worth noting, if we go back up to the top of the page, is you can also do some previews within this section here. So you can see that by default how it views on desktop, but we can also very quickly see how it will look on mobile, on a mobile landscape, and of course on a tablet as well. So a great way just to see how your campaign will look on various clients, various email clients. Now, once the campaign is sent, we can then move into the reporting. So the reports can be accessed via the Get Started app on the homepage, or by clicking the reports option. And then you'll see 3 different sections within reports. So the one we're focusing on here is the campaign reporting, which you can see here. So any campaigns that are sent from your account will appear in the campaign reporting. Any that have been shared to you by other accounts will appear in the shared campaign section here. Now you can see again, we have the unsorted option. So you are able to create folders to keep everything organized. So if you are sending daily campaigns, and after a while, you'll notice you have quite a few in reports. So by clicking and creating additional folders the same way we would in the content library, adding them a name, giving them a number even if you wish, means you can keep everything together and be able to search it with ease. So you also have an option to change the display. This means you can set how you want the campaigns to appear. So when you do have a lot of campaigns, you may wish just to filter how many are showing. So if you selected last month, that would mean every campaign that was sent in the last month would then appear. If for some reason you may log into an account one time and not see your campaigns, it's worth checking the display to ensure that everything is selected. So by clicking show all, you can ensure that everyone and every campaign that you've created is available. So when we click into a campaign report, we can then see very quickly the views, clicks, replies, forwards, opt-outs, and spam reports. So the great thing with the reporting is this works the same way as the homepage, which means that these with 6 dots can be dragged and moved depending on what information you wish to see first. If we scroll down, we see the recipient statistics, again with a nice easy pie chart, which allows you to which essentially shows you the key information at a quick glance. And of course, you have the activity report as well, if you wish to view that. So again, recipient statistics, if you want to drag it to the top, you can do, and then that'll be the first thing you see when you click into this report. Now, if we click into the recipients, we get the breakdown again of who it was sent to, who viewed it, who didn't view it, and then who bounced, if any. So a great way to keep everyone organized, and should you wish to pull everyone who didn't view to be sent to them, you're able to download as an Excel file. And then, of course, you can add these to a new group. You can title it resend, and then you'll be able to send that to your contacts. In the interaction tab, we have a breakdown of more key information within the campaign. So, for example, we can look at all the links, if the links were included in the campaign, any links by recipients, again, with an Excel file. We can look into anyone who clicked the campaign and anyone who did not. Any replies that are stored if we selected that option at the start when we created the campaign. Anyone who forwarded the campaign using the forward to a friend link. It is important to note that when you are forwarding a campaign, to do so via the Concep's forward to a friend link. So this creates an online view of the campaign that a recipient can then click into and then share if they wish. When you're forwarding through an email client, this will cause rendering issues to the campaign, which means that the recipient who views it may not see what they were intended to see. It could mean the images may move around, the text may enlarge or shrinken, and essentially everything may not look as good as it originally did. Now, of course, you can see anyone who opted out as well, the different pages of the campaign, should you have them, and all information you may wish to see regarding the interaction of this report. So if we click into the delivery tab, this gives us more information on the bounces. So again, we can see who the bounces were, if there were any, and then any bounces by recipients. The groups is a great way to understand who the campaign was sent to, and of course, which groups were sent in that case. So if you're unsure of who may or may not have been sent a campaign, we can check the groups, see who's in the group, and that's a great way to identify who has and who hasn't been sent something. In terms of deliverability, we can look at the domains to see who has interacted with a certain domain. So that may mean, for example, that if a certain domain has a lot of views, then that means they are interacting well. If we had sent to 50 people on a certain domain and there were 0 views, that would tell us that domain is struggling to receive the emails. So that would be something we would look into, ensure that they are all allow listing the email address, they're saved as safe senders, and there are no block listing issues with that domain. So that is something our support team will be able to assist with should that ever become an issue for you. Of course, we can look into the locations of where a recipient viewed the campaign. There's an interactive map that can be clicked into and of course zoomed in if you wish. And then finally, we have the stream, which is a great list of everyone that has interacted with the campaign. So this shows us various aspects such as repeat views, unique clicks, and any referred views as well. It also shows us when the email was originally sent to a contact. So if someone were to view a campaign, go away for several weeks and then view it again, these recent views would also appear within the stream, so we can keep a good eye on who is interacting and when they are doing so. Now, of course, we have this advanced option here on the right-hand side, which is very useful for anyone who may forget to do something when the campaign is originally sent out. So for example, if we want to send to more groups or more contacts, we can do so via this option. So if I click on the send to more contacts, you can see here that we have a list of all the contacts here, and anyone that has been sent to previously will have a grey tick on their name. If we hover over that, you can see they cannot be deselected as they've already been sent. And that means you can ensure that no one will be sent the same campaign twice, which the system will prevent. Anyone who has not been sent the campaign who may wish to, we can select their email address, and then you can see at the bottom one contact selected. If we click send, you'll get a confirmation saying this campaign is about to be sent to however many contacts we've clicked, and then on completion they will be sent the campaign, and then they will appear within reports. So if anyone does for any reason do get missed off a list, or you have another group you wish to share to, you can do so after the campaign has been sent. Now, of course, in this advanced option, we also have the ability to combine campaigns, which means essentially you can look into the reports you have and then combine these together. So for example, if we wish to look at the combined data of this report and this one, then what we can do is select that as well. Click select. We now have a combined tab that has appeared for us. So what we can do is then select both this information, and then we can view the combined data within the summary and the interaction. And a great way if you have a series of campaigns to see the combined details of all. Then finally, we have the option for an executive summary. Now, this may not work with a combined report, but what we can do is go back into the single. You'll notice when you click out of the combined report, the combined tab will disappear. And you need to manually create this each time. We click in the advanced and then we click executive summary. This is a great way just to have a high level view of everything you may wish to show in a campaign. So if we click on this name option here, we can select all of the various options. So this includes the recipient statistics, the links, the bounce types, and locations, for example. And then we can click create. Now what this will do is create an option to download as a PDF, a PNG, or you can create an online summary. So if we were to click the online summary, you can see the URL has been created here. And then if we click view, this will open a new link for us. And then this is something that can be shared with anyone who does not have access to the account, but is interested in the reporting. And of course, like we say, we have a PDF and a PNG option available as well. So it gives a quick high-level view of every part of the key data of the campaign, depending on what information you've gathered from your reporting. So essentially, that is Concep Send at a glance. Now, as we mentioned at the very start, you do have the option to click into the client help desk and refer to the knowledge base should you ever run into any issues. And if your question cannot be answered within the knowledge base, you're able to submit a request to our support team at helpdesk@concep.com, where the team will be available to help you. So I hope this has been beneficial for everybody. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, or if you wish, you may send a ticket in to our support team. So I'll stick around for a few minutes in case anyone does have any questions. But apart from that, thank you very much for attending, and I hope you have a great rest of the day.